Hi, everybody. Tammy here, and I just wanted to take a moment to talk about creating opportunities for our students to simply think. To start out, I want to start out with this concept. Now, over the past few years, as the years progress, I keep thinking about I'm taking away those opportunities. I'm stealing the struggle that I go through as a teacher when I'm designing and creating lessons and activities. I am processing a lot of the material, and I take that process away from the students when I do it all myself, and I don't leave any room for the students to do their own processing, their own creating, um, their own problem solving. So don't steal the struggle. As an educator, it's so important that we not steal that struggle. And I want to give you a very basic example of what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking of a math problem because I was a math teacher. Thinking of a math problem, it's pretty basic. So what's 100 divided by 5? What does that equal? So I had to come up with that problem, and you're like, yeah, I've got this one. So you might have said 20. Good job. That is correct. And that's so often what we do, right? We come up with the questions, and then the kids spat out the answers. Most of them can do it. There's a few that can't, maybe, and we've got some backtracking we need to do, but this is usually how it plays out. But I want you to think about this question. Which part of the math sentence requires more thinking? Do you think it was the answer of 20? Or do you think it was the question when I had to come up with a dividend and a divisor, and I had to think of something that I could divide that produces a whole number? So there was a lot of processing and thinking happening when I came up with that question. So I think this is a very simplistic example of what I'm talking about here is allowing the students to go through that struggle of the questioning, because I think that takes more thought. It takes more. It's more challenging to come up with the questions. But so often, for the sake of time, we take that struggle and that process away from our students. So processing matters actually more than the answers. Um, we, for the sake of time, often think we got to do all the work ahead of time because we just don't have the time with the students that we want for them to dig into it. So we do all the work ahead of time, and we think that that's helpful, but we are taking away those valuable opportunities for our students to do the thinking. Now, we want those critical thinking skills. We want those skills. We talk about it all the time. But how often do we provide those opportunities for them to develop those skills? How can we design opportunities for students to lead the learning experience, to lead the processing, and really get into the challenging part? I like this quote from Catlin Tucker. She says, I've come to realize that if I tell my students how to do their work, I remove the incentive for them to really engage, think critically, and problem solve. It's so important that students learn how to learn, that's metacognition, and navigate unfamiliar tasks and challenges. It is so important for our students to learn how to process. So, how can we design those opportunities in class for our students to be able to process and problem solve and really, truly, critically think? How can we get them questioning? So, enter the concept of blended learning. Now, you may have heard of blended learning and had some questions about it. Here's a quick definition. A student learns at least in part through online learning with some element of student control over time, place, path, and or pace. So it has that online learning element because we have access to the internet. So we have that ability for our students to go out and research topics. So there is going to be some online learning involved. But the rest of it is through different options and choice and activities and collaboration. So I want to finish with this video here about what some students describe and how they describe blended learning.
would use modern to describe it.
Definitely flexible.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
Future.
It's better.
It really just completely changes the way learning is done.
Energetic.
Efficient. Me, just me, myself.
Amazing. I think it's fun.
I get to learn my way at this pace I want, how I want.
I just feel like we have a little bit more freedom in like blended classes because we get to choose our own pace and we get to choose what assignments we get to do and stuff like that.
Well, it's 2 words. Is that word? 2 words?
Great.
Okay. Personalized learning. That's the major point here.
It's all about time management.
Personal.
Responsible.
You do work the best way you can do your work.
Independent, so it gives me control of my own grade. Rather from last year, it didn't give me as much control.
We do like fun stuff, but at the same time we learn.
Personalized.
Independent.
Teamwork.
Call it interesting.
Because everyone works as a team. It's not just one person doing the work. Everyone has a separate role to play.
She individualizes with every single student, so she gets to know them better. So I feel like the bonds get stronger.
It's 2 words actually. It's life-changing.
Efficient. More efficient for me.
I'd say chill. Very chill.
Fun.
I learn more from this than I do all my other classes, and this is one of the classes that I have the best grade in because of this learning style.
Amazing.
Special.
Freedom.
Exciting.
There's no restrictions on you. You can learn however you want to learn.
He took all my words.
So I like some of the words that the students mentioned in there. I love the word freedom. I love the talking about there's no restrictions. They do it their way. They do it on their pace. They get to choose. So it's a lot about student choice. Now this looks so many different ways. There's not going to be one way that I can tell you this looks like in the classroom. It's going to look different in every classroom. But it's about the teachers as they're designing these experiences. They're designing for more student-led activities, more student-led assessments, more student-led projects, some collaboration, some choice. Give them a bunch of different choices to choose from, and they get to choose what goes best with their learning style, and then they can demonstrate their learning in different ways. If the curriculum is still the same, the concepts are still the same, it's the how that we're addressing here, and it's a more personalized way. So hopefully that's enough to kind of spur the discussion.